Hello and welcome to Hope TV. This is where you look and live, and of course, this is Testify, where our faith in Jesus Christ gets to grow. My name is Sharon Aitore Wangenye. I pray that you have been well and you're ready for another moment of your faith getting stirred up. I have the privilege today of hosting James Onsongo. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
I did.
Yes.
Karibu sana. And he will be sharing with us a bit of his story, the story of his journey, the victory of God upon his life, and the lessons that he has drawn from what he has been through. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you on Hope TV.
Thank you.
Please just do a little introduction of yourself.
Wow.
Let me throw this to you. Who you are, what you do.
My name is James Onsongo, as you've put it. By the grace of God, I'm the personal assistant to Bishop William Twimising. And I thank God for the few years I've been with him, around 12 years. Above that, I am a director in an institution called Be the Miracle Initiative that I helped institute with some of my friends some years back. And apart from that, Bishop William Twimising, after he handed over the mantle to the current Bishop of Deliverance Church, and then years later he started a foundation called Finishing Well Foundation, where I am the CEO and trying to bring up the organization so that we challenge people to finish well. I think that's my
done a bit. A bit. Wow, amazing things you mentioned, but it was not always so. You were not always a PA, you were not always a CEO, a director. There's a backstory. Where do we start, James?
I don't know where we will start from. But every person has a story. Every person, there's something that you go through in life that shapes you, that helps either shape you or break you. And what I went through or what I've gone through in life, I believe I can confidently say it is what that has shaped me to be who I am today. And I will give credit to my parents who brought me up in this city of Nairobi. And to some extent, it makes me not to be the person or the tribe that I come from. Many people don't say I don't have the accent of a Kisi.
Yeah.
Because I was born and raised in Nairobi. And my parents wished and did everything best for me to have, and our siblings to have a wonderful life. And then at some point, when age comes, then they have to move. So they retired, went home. Then we were left all alone in Nairobi. And then all my siblings are spread out in this nation, and some are also outside the country. But I got myself alone in Nairobi when others had spread in Mombasa, in Kisii. Then I was all by myself in Nairobi. And there's a place where we used to live in Isili. Where we grew up, all of us. It's a wonderful place where I can say, because that is where we were brought up the many years we were living in Nairobi. So we were left there, found myself alone. Then when you want to try to make ends meet in this life, and then the challenges of life come.
Okay, all right. Just before you carry on, let me take you back.
Yes.
So your parents have to relocate back to the village?
Yes, they did.
And you're left in the city?
Yes.
Which born are you, first of all, in your family?
I am the fourth born in a family of 5.
Of 5, so yes. Almost towards the last one.
I'm the last born. Per se, because our last born is a lady. So, and in Kisii, ladies are not really counted as last born, because the last born is the one who will be left in the house.
Okay.
Yeah, rather than in the home. Yeah.
Okay. All right, fine. So you remain behind in a rental space, or is this a house that was acquired already by your parents?
It's a rental space.
It's a rental space.
Yes.
So when you're being left, have you gone through school?
Yes, I had already finished O level, and you're just there trying to make ends meet, trying to find what you can, and you're just there, and you are a real, what will I say? I don't want to use the word hustler, but you are a real person who is trying to work hard to see that ends meet.
Okay, so what exactly were you doing?
I was, and I'm still. I was a jack of all trade.
Okay.
Doing anything legit that comes my way.
Okay.
Anything that will put some money and some coins in my pocket. I remember at one point I was doing some advertisement for buildings where I know you've passed through town and you've seen these people like DJs who have speakers, a mix, like a small mix and microphone. I was doing that.
Okay. So anything that came by just to survive, so long as it's legal.
I remember at some time also I got an invite. You know the way you go to the Nation newspaper at the back, and there are these jobs that are being introduced there, and say if you want to be an M-Pesa agent, if you want. I tried that one also. Then I went to a person who was in River Road. He employed me, said, I'm giving you this work for some commission. Then I did it for a whole month. You can imagine you are being commissioned to go and register people to be M-Pesa or rather M-Pesa users, and then you don't have the phone to register them. So you take their details without registering them on the spot. And
Tell them you will be registered.
You will be registered afterwards in the evening. You will, and then people knew. I just come, I give you the details, and I'm registered immediately. It was a hard nut to crack when you are convincing people to register them afterwards.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes.
Okay, so please continue with the story.
Yes, I tried all this. I remember at some point I was a courier person. You are given some work. It was once a month when we used to do the courier work. This company had been contracted by a certain company to deliver their letters, and the letters will only be delivered in 1 week. So I could imagine, you can imagine walking in the cities, in the streets of Nairobi for a whole day, delivering letters in different offices. And we could go as far as Utawala. And sometimes I could walk all the way to Utawala.
Oh.
And not because I was not given fare, but I wanted to save that fare. Because whatever they were giving, you'll find by the end of the week, the money that you receive, you need to go and buy another shoe because of the way you walked.
Oh, yes. My.
So it came that way. You're doing this, and then there are rainy seasons, there are sunny seasons, where you go out to find something and you don't get. Then at some point, a friend of mine came to live with me, and together with my cousin in that house where my parents had left us. So we were there for some months, and then it came to a point where they were leasing those houses to another owner. Then the owner said we have to move all of us so that he can renovate the place, and then we can come back again. That now was a turning point now. When I can shock you, the houses we used to pay 1,200 a month.
Wow.
1,000. It was a big single room that we used to pay 1,200 a month. So when we were being told to move so that we can come back, there's nowhere to move.
Right.
There's nowhere you can pay 1,200. All the places we could get, we were getting a places. The least was 4,000 shillings. Then you're not working. And you need to pay 4,000 shillings together with 4,000 as a deposit. So that is a total of 8,000 shillings. And I could get that 8,000 shillings. So we started living in a lodging together with my friend. And then in the lodging, we were paying 200 shillings a day because that is what we can afford, because we can't afford a lump sum of 8,000. So 200 a day we can afford.
Now, this 200 is what you're getting from the small things you're doing here and there. And the food is also coming from that money?
Yes.
So were there meals all throughout?
It was interesting. The two of us, we could look for money for food. Sometimes we don't get. But when we get 200, we make sure we pay for the lodging.
Oh, so at least you have somewhere
to sleep. And then in the morning, you just try and find where can we get. And the best days is when we could get even 50 shillings. There was a place somewhere in California, in Isili, where we could run and we could get what they call chapati chafua.
Which is?
Some 2 chapatis, they're cut, and then it is spread over with the soup from beans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's called chapati chafua. So when we've eaten 2 chapatis, we are okay for the day. Then we say, what next for the other day? So we were there for a month in that lodging. I mean, all our things in that room. Then one day we were not able to get the 200 shillings. Then the lady, we talked to the lady who was in charge, and she was kind enough to allow us to spend the night. Then unfortunately, again, the next day, we were not able to get again. So this lady said, no, umetuzoea. Mumetuzoea, siwafunguli room.
Oh.
Then we tried to reason with her because our things were in the room.
Your few clothes,
and then there was a computer we used to work with because I like writing a lot. The Lord has given me some, let me say, ability of just having visions and dreams and ideas that I can just note them down. So we tried reasoning with her and tell her, how can you close us outside and our things are inside the house? I mean, what logic? You'll still lose the day or the night for that room. I said, no, nataka musome lesson. I want to teach you a lesson. For the first time in my life, I slept outside in the street. And I remember when she was doing that, I only had a T-shirt. And they call it material trouser.
Yeah.
You can imagine the cold in the night. Nothing, didn't have anything even to cover myself. So I slept outside for the first time in my life.
What was going through your mind as you were sleeping there?
I thank God for one thing. The Lord has enabled me not to ask him questions, and especially why. So when I was there, I was only asking God, what am I learning from this? What am I learning? Because one thing I came to realize is, if I am a child of God, he has a cutout destiny for me. And whatever that passes, that comes through my life, he is aware of. And I thank God it happened that I had been in salvation for around 13 years.
By the time this is happening?
Yes. So my faith was not that wavering that I can start questioning God and say, why have you forsaken me? Why have you done this? Why me? So I asked God, why am I going through this? No, what am I learning through the situation that I'm in right now? Then I came to realize one thing. I used to pass through town and the streets in Nairobi, and you see people sleeping outside. Then I used to have this mentality of it is their choice. They have chosen to sleep in the streets. Why are you? So I could not have esteem. I could not respect the position or the time of their life.
Yeah.
So when I slept outside, that's when I realized that majority of them, it is not by choice. It is how life has just turned out in them. So now I came to realize, when I see somebody sleeping in the streets, I will not be hard on them because you don't know their story. So if at all I would want to understand, you can just speak to some of them and just get to understand, why are you sleeping in the streets? And let me tell you, you will hear stories. Maybe for a few, save for a few who it is just out of their arrogance and ignorance that they're sleeping in the street. But I tell you, majority of the people who sleep in the street, there is something that they have gone through that has made them to sleep in the street.
Sure.
So that is the lesson that the Lord wanted me to learn. And later I came to connect because by then I had started the organization called Be the Miracle.
What is it about? What is Be the Miracle about?
Be the Miracle initiative, it started in an interesting way. It's when I had an idea of what can I do to empower the young people in the community. And then I just watched a movie by Jim Carrey called Bruce Almighty. And it was a comedy, but it was interesting. I got an inspiration from a comedy. By the time the comedy was ending, Bruce Almighty wanted to be a news anchor. And God wanted him to be a reporter who makes people laugh. And if you're a reporter who makes people laugh, there is no way you'll find your way in becoming a news anchor. So he was pushing to become a news anchor desperately. But God wanted him to be a reporter who makes people laugh. And that is that is the destiny and the purpose that God had created him for. So when finally he became a news anchor, he messed up big time. Until when he came to God and said, God, I want you to take over my life. And God told him, be the miracle.
Oh, wow.
That is where the inspiration came. So
Okay.
the institution is, what are we doing to become a miracle to people in the society? Let us not wait for a miracle. Let us not anticipate a miracle to happen in our life. Why can't we be the miracle ourselves?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this happened when you had started.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think it was a lesson I was learning because you can't be a partaker, or rather you can't tell people something that you've not been a partaker of. So right now I can go to the street when I find somebody sleeping, and that is by the guidance of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
You just go, you don't send yourself. Then you go talk to somebody. By the time you finish, you become a miracle to that person. You encourage the person, and if you are in a position to help and assist that person, I do. Yes.
All right. So moving fast forward from that very day, you sleep outside. Then what happened the following day? Voila, miracle. Did you get a miracle?
Let me tell you, sleeping in the street.
Yeah.
Then the next morning, together with my friend, we were going to see a cabinet minister.
Oh.
By then, he's deceased right now. He was the minister of roads. And my friend used to be a very tight friend to that minister.
Okay.
So we are coming from sleeping outside, and the next morning we are just bumping into the office of a cabinet minister. Then,
what were you going to do there? To just say hello?
No, my friend had written, he inspired me to write projects. So he had written some projects for the government. So he had taken them to the ministry. So he was going to follow up on what is the progress. So, and my mentor, I hold him with high esteem. I mean, he's somebody who has given me hope, somebody who has given me a lot of faith in the systems of this world. And whenever you pass through a difficult situation, he's somebody who cannot break. He has been high up there in the class where people say it is the high class. And then later, within a span of months, he found himself in the lower class. But yet, he had the faith he still has the faith that he will climb to where he was. So, he had written some projects and took them to the government. And then we were going to see the minister so that to see what is the extent of the deliberations of what he had written. So it was like an irony coming from sleeping outside, and then we go to meet him. Then after the meeting, now another interesting story. After we met the cabinet minister, then he was telling, after the discussion about the project, because they were friends with my mentor, then he asked, how are you doing? Then the mentor says, we are not good.
Yeah.
Yes, but we didn't say we slept outside. We just said we are not good, but we don't have a place. Where we are being closed out. So the minister says, okay, can 350,000 shillings be of help to you? Let me tell you, we were so happy.
You felt like...
I mean, imagine coming out from 200 shillings a day, and now somebody is offering to give you 350,000, and he's asking if that is enough.
Wow.
Then we said we can organize ourselves.
Yeah.
Now the unfortunate thing happened.
What happened?
After we came out from his office, and we were going happy and saying things are changing in our life, This years, he was going for a meeting it was a campaign meeting in Kericho. 2 hours later, we hear of a breaking news of a plane crash. And he was among the people who were in the
No,
plane.
no, 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 no.
And then he had
Oh,
passed on. So now the 350 and everything that we had hopes on, all doomed.
wow. So, did you feel like this is another lesson God is teaching you? Or you were,
I don't know now.
for once angry at him?
Now we broke, yeah? There's that moment where you now feel, what is happening? Is there anything wrong with us or anything wrong with me? That now we are passing through this. Now this is another one where we had hopes, and then this is happening. I tell you, I've never seen my friend cry, but that day I saw him crying.
Oh.
And then now we had to seek for refuge in a friend's place. We went there for the night. And then after that, now we decided now everybody to go and look for somewhere to stay. Then I found myself going to our church in Deliverance Church ECD. And I became, per se, a church mouse. Starting from that time, for the next around, I was in church for around 9 months, sleeping in the church pews.
For 9 months?
Yes.
So what would you would wait for everyone else to go?
I will wait for everyone.
For them to put out the lights?
Yes, and then I come back. Or when people come for prayer meeting, we just do prayers. Then after that,
You hang around?
you hang around, you talk with people, and then you go out as if you're going. And then the moment everybody goes to their direction, you come back to the church.
And sleep?
Yes.
Wow.
For 9 good months.
So where were you spending your day?
I used to spend the day in church, maybe helping cleaning, helping doing some chores in the church. And then if it doesn't happen, you find that I've gone for some. That time, that is when the youth ministry had been instituted and so they used to have some meetings, some conferences at what. So if I'm not in the conference, I'm in the church.
Wow.
And then when I'm in the conference, that is the time I would get something small.
Something small, you mean something to eat?
There's something to eat. And then they used to have these t-shirts. So for the 9 months, I used to wear t-shirts alone, promotional t-shirts. Every t-shirt I used to wear, you could see the logo of the youth ministry.
Oh my.
Yes.
So, wow. So where are you? I'm just trying to think. Day in, day out. For 9 consecutive months.
Yes.
You're sleeping in the church. So where are you? Where are your clothes? Where are you keeping your things? Where are you taking a shower? Where?
Our church has a shower. I don't know if I believe it's still there, because nowadays I rarely go to church there because of the schedule of Bishop Missing, where every Sunday we're in a different church because of the invites. So I used to keep my clothes in the kitchen. I mean, there were not many clothes. 5 t-shirts and around 3 trousers.
Okay.
Which you can, and then there was a shower.
So you clean them in there?
Yes.
Then you hang them just somewhere?
I hang them somewhere behind. We used to have an old sanctuary.
Okay.
So you hang them behind the whole sanctuary. Then when they're dry, fold them into one drawer in the kitchen. It's all my clothes.
Wow. And did anyone ever notice that you were staying in church?
Many people didn't. And the few who did, it was not of a concern. Yeah. But it was an experience, sleeping in the church pews. I mean...
Nothing to cover yourself. What were you covering yourself with?
Nothing. The clothes that you have.
Wow.
And when I'm lucky enough is when the caretaker has forgotten to close the kitchen. Then I will get some of the old curtains. And then I cover myself with them. Okay,
James, please explain to me. Explain to me like a little baby. So this young man, is has this kind of a life. That is the kind of life you're living.
Yes.
And I know earlier you said God has helped you not to ask questions. But I'm just wondering, did you ever stop and think, when will this come to an end? What is next for me? How will my life turn out to be?
I thought severally. Okay, it is not a thought that came once or twice. It came very frequently. And I had to try and think, what can I do to change my situation? What can I do? Then, there's a way you want to ask God, what do you have for me? What purpose do you have for me for this life? You didn't bring me this far to just let me be the person I am. And in those 9 months, God enabled me to come up with ideas. I think it was a preparation time and a time to think critically of some of the things. And I remember in those 9 months, I had an opportunity to meet the high and mighty. I remember one time I had written a proposal, took it to the Ministry of Youth. And I think it was the highest proposal they have ever received. I was asking for 88 million shillings.
Wow. This is a man without somewhere to lay his head.
Out of the 1 billion they had instituted as
you were
the
asking
youth
for
fund.
88 million.
In fact, I wanted the 10%.
Oh, wow.
And then the Ministry of Youth called us for a meeting together with the UNDP to ask us, can you justify why you need 88 million shillings? And it was a wonderful experience, somebody coming from the church pews and sitting in the boardroom of the minister. Those are some of the experiences I cherish, because I believe it was a training moment and a training season for me. And then at one point I met the World Bank director.
Oh, wow.
Together with the PS of youth in a meeting that we were called. Then I remember we were in a meeting and our youth officer then in Isili, when I presented the document to him about the money, he said, "You're joking, you're mad.
Yeah.
These people can't read this." So when we went for the meeting and when we were called for questions, I raised up my hand, but I didn't have any question, because I knew the kind of document I wrote, and the PS is there, I wrote to the PS. If I ask a question, he will see you're not the person who wrote the document. So I raised my hand, then they chose me. Then I said, I don't really have a question, but I have a compliment of what the Ministry of Youth is doing. So I introduced myself. Then I sat. When the PS stood to respond to the questions, he made a remark that made my heart merry. He said, "We've been in consultation with Be the Miracle Initiative."
Oh, wow.
And then I looked at the youth officer telling him, "Have you heard?" It is not me saying, "Have you heard?"
Yeah.
They have been in consultation of a project. I wrote to you and you said these big people don't read.
Wow.
Yes.
Just hold it right there, James. What a story. What great lessons I am personally learning. I hope you're getting something as you carry on with this story. Please stay with us because we just want to take a very short break, but then we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries, with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station, with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. This is Testify on Hope TV, and if you just joined us, this is my guest, James, with such amazing stories. I'm just amazed at before we get to how you now eventually stopped being a church mouse, quote unquote. I'm amazed at your journey. As I listen to you, at your journey with God, what happened that you gave your life to Jesus? I'm just taking you back a little bit. What happened?
I was in Form 2 in Isidli High School, where I used to see the CU going, singing. We used to have somewhere we were called, I think it's Upper Room. I could hear them sing with joy and like. And I remember there's this one friend called Kefamboro who really followed me. I mean, every day, when he met me in school, he was this person, I can say he was pestering. I mean, have you heard about the gospel? Have you heard about this? Have you? So, then one time I just gave in. I mean, I think it was time.
Yeah.
I just gave in. I said, I think I need this Jesus. Then I got born again when I was in Form 2.
Okay.
Yeah, but it didn't go well with my family because my family is SDA. And I am here going to Pentecostal. So to some extent, it didn't go well with my family. And I was transferred from Isili High School all the way to Kisii.
Oh, just because of that?
Because of salvation.
Wow.
Yes.
And did the fire die in Kisii?
I can say it really didn't die, but it became lukewarm.
Yeah.
Because at some point I just kind of gave up. I said, if salvation is this, then let me just be there. So I could be somebody who you will think is a church person or a saved person, but I'm just there. Not serious about my study life of the Bible, not serious about my prayer. So I was just there. And then I remember when I went to that school where I was transferred to, at some point they made me the CU chair.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, I am a CU chair, but I am not where I was in Isili High School. And I came to realize that some schools, most of our schools also, we tend to have CUs which are not that powerful because you don't have any option. So whoever is there, you give them the position.
Yeah.
So we need to take care of our schools, especially when you're talking about salvation and the Christian Union.
All right. But somehow you bounced back and now
Yes.
became hot for Jesus.
I bounced back.
Yeah.
But again, I'll say it is not a nice experience to backslide or to go back, because coming back to where you are, it's a difficult journey. So the moment you've decided to get born again and follow Christ, please stick on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you fall back, going back, restoring yourself back to where you were and even further, it's going to be an uphill task.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So did you get someone? I'm interested to know. Did you get someone to walk with you now after you decided, I'm serious with my salvation, to disciple you, sort of?
That is one thing that never happened. It only happened when I started serving Bishop Twimising.
Okay.
That is when now I could have somebody close to me who we can talk about the word, who every time we are together, we are talking about the word. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to the story. So you're getting all these opportunities to meet the who is who. Lakini, you're sleeping in the church on a pew with nothing to cover yourself.
Yeah.
So how did you continue the story?
Now the transformation came, because after that, and as I told you, I never asked God why. It's only that you give yourself hope, like the scripture says in Psalms that David encouraged himself in the Lord. So I used to encourage myself, because I said, this is not what God intended me to be. There's something that God has for me. That even when I started the Be the Miracle initiative, there's something that God wanted me to achieve with that. So he couldn't give me that idea and then it just leaves me to sleep in church pews for the rest of my life. So, and after some time now, it's when a bishop came to church and he was looking for somebody to take care of his house. And the caretaker knew I didn't have a place to sleep, so he recommended me to bishop. So I went and took care of the house for one day. After 2 days, bishop came back with the wife, and then the next day they told me, as you see, we're only the two of us. Can you stay a bit longer with us? And I said yes without even thinking, because I knew if I say no, what is awaiting me is the church pews.
Church pews.
And I'm here sleeping in a 5x6 bed.
Yeah.
A room all by myself. So, and a little bit longer is until now. That is 2010. Since 2010 up to now. That is the time that we've been with Bishop. So, a bit longer, we are continuing a bit longer. It has not ended.
Oh, that was it. Please tell me more about it. Tell me more about how now you disclosed to Bishop that, by the way, Bishop, I have been sleeping in the church.
I didn't disclose to him until about 3-4 years after.
Oh,
That is when I told him, by the way, do you know I used to sleep in the church pews?
really?
Yes.
But how did you even get to the point of, he called you to take care of his house, to do one or two things here and there in the house, yeah? But then it graduated, if I should put it so.
There's one thing I like, and this is my mantra: wait upon the Lord. The Lord knows, because He's our creator. He's the one who crafted us. So He knows our end from our beginning. So the moment you wait upon Him, there's a way He will direct your life. And you don't need to announce yourself. He will. So when I started living with Bishop, we used to go for missions. He used to drive. I'm seated there just to give him stories so that he doesn't sleep. And then he goes, preaches, comes back, drives back. And I'm there, I'm a driver. And I had my interim license. Until a month after, when one day, when I used to live in his house, every time when I'm late, 8 o'clock, he usually calls and asks, where are you? So this day...
8 in the night?
Yes, 8 in the night. He calls and says, where are you? Just to find out if you are. So he calls me and I tell him I'll not be able to come today because tomorrow I'm driving my friend to Nakuru for a wedding. Then he realized, kumbe, you are a driver. So the next mission we were going, we live in Gong. So he drove all the way to Karen, went to a gas station, filled the gas. Then after that, he gave me the keys and says, now drive.
Oh.
And since then up to today, I'm his driver.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So, and then because of also what God has enabled me to have ideas, I've been sharing with him ideas because God gives me insights of some of the things that we can do to improve our ministry, to improve our lives, to improve what we are doing. So I've been giving him ideas on can we improve on this? Can we do this? And by the grace of God, he has embraced them. And some of them are ideas of faith. You tell him, let us do this A, B, C, D. And as you're saying that, there is nothing to show. Then you have a difficult time of explaining and making him understand that this thing can work. But I thank God because I believe everything I've ever shared with him, it has come to pass and we have worked. And that is how our bond together with Bishop increased. And we are more than a boss and an employee relationship. Right now we are in a father-son relationship. And I believe it has also graduated to be a friendship relationship because he's a friend of mine, apart from being my boss and my bishop. Yes.
Okay. I'm interested to know, you began this conversation very well before we began this program, and we were talking about the lessons to learn.
Yes.
From people's stories, and from your story, I am learning quite a lot. And I would want to ask at this point, what you began an initiative that this that you're calling Be the Miracle.
The miracle.
You've had opportunities of meeting so and so there and so and so. You've met who is who, so to speak.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And you're still working with Bishop.
Yes.
You're still Bishop's driver and his personal assistant. You know, one would want to think, mimi sifai kuwa nafanya hizo vitu. You know?
Yes, yes.
Why?
I give credit to my mentor. He taught me loyalty. He taught me giving yourself out. And the moment I got to Bishop, and that is why he had a relationship with the then cabinet secretary because of loyalism. So the moment I realized this is it, and then I will just say, I asked God, why am I with Bishop? Because God created an opportunity. I got a job with a taxi when I was with Bishop, the first year when I was with Bishop. Then I realized, can I just go? Because Bishop was just appreciating me. And then I said, there's a job offer here of becoming a driver of a taxi, then I'll be earning. So when I went for that job, I worked for 2 months, but the 2 months I had hell on earth. Oh, I had everything I wanted, but I never had peace. Until after the 2 months now, a voice came and asked, now choose. So I went back to Bishop and told Bishop, I want to serve you. Yes. And for those 2 months, for your information, I was with that taxi. I went to State House 6 times.
Wow.
6 good times. And 2 times when I was in State House, the president was in. And I could meet all his security detail, which again, they created me to have an interest in security. So after all that, now a voice came, I have taken you to the highest office in this land. Now choose. And I went to Bishop and told him, I want to serve you. And the rest is history until now. But I'll say it is loyalty. Whenever you found your purpose in life, stick to it. People might think you're not living your best. But if you have asked God and God has confirmed to you that that is your purpose, stick to it. Because people might redirect you to what they think you should be.
So finding one's purpose and then sticking to that purpose.
Because you might think you're intellectual, like more than any other person. And then people will come and say, whatever you have, we've been with you, we've discussed, we've talked, and then we find that you have this kind of intellectual mind. I think you should be an advisor to the president.
Right.
And God created you to be a PA to a servant of God who was a church in Kayole. But because of that, because of the social standing and status in this world, you want to go to work in status. So you're abandoning what God created you to do.
How do you find what God created you to do?
I'll say seek Him, make Him your friend, then He will direct you. Because if you don't have a relationship with God, you will not know. Because the way God speaks to me is not the way He will speak to you.
Right.
It depends on your relationship and how you've given Him that priority. Because if you are not close to God, definitely you'll not listen to His still little voice.
What are your greatest lessons with all these that you have been through in life?
Lesson number 1 is what you go through, it's a preparation of what God intends you to achieve in this world. And whenever God has given you a task, He will always be with you. It might seem as a lower task than what other people are doing. You know, I might be talking right now and somebody will say, James, I think you should be a pastor. And maybe I am not created to be a pastor.
Yeah.
Then because I am listening to people, I'm not listening to God, then I go to pastorship. Then I'll find I have gone outside the will of God. Sometimes we don't want to get to understand what God has for us. Most of the time we look for the big miracles and the big manifestations. We don't get to the small nitty-gritties of what God has done in our lives. Like, for example, I was talking to my landlord, and I was telling, by the way, I don't know how our conversation turned. And then I told him, do you know I'm living the Bible? And he said, how? And I said, do you know, the Bible said I will live in houses that I've never built. Have I built this house? But I'm living in it. Then he starts laughing. Then I tell him, I am not paying rent. I'm simply appreciating you for taking good care of my father's property.
Yeah.
Because Psalms 24:1 says, the earth is of the Lord and the fullness thereof.
Yeah.
And I say, I am his son because I am born again. So if I'm his son, everything in this world belongs to me. The only thing is I get access to what God has given me.
Yeah.
And that is where we lose it. We leave the Bible, but we want for the big manifestation. Somebody right now is sleeping in a single room. Then he thinks that God has forgotten him. But he doesn't remember that there's somebody who is sleeping outside in a carton.
Right.
But we want God to manifest himself by giving you a house in Runda. But you're not appreciating God giving you a bed sitter in Isili. Well, somebody else really wants even to have a carton, but the only thing that he can have is a gunia outside the street. So we need to know that God has given us access, and he will give us access to what we need at the time he deems it fit.
Amen.
Like this year, after a long time, the Lord did something great for me. It's a testimony because I was sleeping in the church pew, but as we speak right now, I am a landowner. Not because I worked myself hard and sweated because I wanted to reach somebody else. But it came that one time Bishop just came and said, I want to appreciate you, James, for the good work you've done for me.
Wow.
Then all of a sudden, voila,
Piece of land.
a title deed.
Amen.
A person who was sleeping in the church pews.
Amen.
So we need to wait upon the Lord, as I said. Wait upon the Lord because he knows. In this kingdom, we have access. Whenever you become an owner, you become a rebel. The prodigal son wanted to own what was his. So when he was given, he went and squandered it. He was not lost. He just squandered what he was given. So he came for what was his at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we need to wait upon the Lord. Let us have access because when he was with his father, he had access for everything. But when he wanted to own, he only owned a part. But when he was with the father, he had access for everything. And when the Lord will deem it fit, I know if you're living in a single room, when the time for a 2-bedroom comes, the Lord will give you. When a time to have a car will come, the Lord will give you. But let us not beat ourselves up to come out from the situation we are in to reach where we think our peers want us to be.
Right. Wow. Wow. Okay, tell me about this. You wrote a book, Building the Broken Walls. Tell me about it.
I was doing a study about, there's a time I felt there's something that is not working right in my life. Then I said, something needs to be rebuilt in my life. Then I thought, which is the best example in the Bible of somebody who was rebuilding? Then Nehemiah came into mind. Then when I went to study the book Nehemiah, I got some revelations of some lessons in Nehemiah. So I thought, wow, these are good lessons. So I started posting them on social media. Every day I get a lesson I post. On my 5th day, I had some DMs from friends and people, some of them who I didn't know. They were saying, give us that book you're reading. And I'm saying, I'm not reading a book, I'm studying the Bible. Then that is when the idea of coming up with the book came. Okay. It's a study book. It's called The Rebuilding the Broken Walls. It's a 52-day study book because Nehemiah took 52 days to rebuild the broken walls in Jerusalem. And then I have picked out 52 lessons.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I'm told that time is very much well spent.
Yeah.
What do you want to leave with that person who's watching you? That's your camera. What do you want to tell them?
Wait upon the Lord. When the time of God will come, as the Bible says in Isaiah, when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen for you. So don't push for things that their time has not yet arrived. Wait for the time of God, and I tell you, you will not be stressed. You will not feel that the Lord has let you down. You will always wait for what God has in store for you. And I'll encourage you, continue holding on to God, study His Word, pray to Him, and God is going to give you a wonderful life that you will not regret. You will always be happy in it.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, James, for coming. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
I pray that Someone's faith has been stirred up.
Amen.
Asante sana. Wow, what a story. I pray that you're encouraged, your faith challenged, and that your life will never be the same again. Thank you for making time to be with us on Testify. I'll see you on the next episode. But before then, please talk to us. The number appears on your screen, and you can also reach to us on our social media platforms. My name is Sharon Aitore Wangenye. God bless you. Bye-bye.